Hello guys, and welcome back to another riveting episode on Life in Life. My name is Jonathan Thuo, and I'll be taking you through today's episode. Before we begin, I just want to take some time to do a little housekeeping, and I just love to say that I am deeply grateful to all of you who've been watching, who've subscribed, and who've been sharing this particular YouTube channel with your friends and family. Thank you very much for that. I'd like to mention a couple of my friends. There's Charity, there's Ashley. These are great women who are really supporting this particular YouTube channel and supporting me as the host of this channel. There's also Sylvia, who's a relative who's been watching. She has binged all my videos. Oh my god, thank you so much for the dedication, for the time, for the energy and the resources that you're spending to watch these particular videos, and at the same time to share them and just to interact with them and give me your feedback. I really appreciate that. So thank you very much for that. Thank you for everyone else who's watching, who's enjoying this particular content, and basically just getting anything that is meaningful and helpful from this. So thank you very much to everyone who's been sharing. Thank you very much. Please, if you're feeling shy, don't feel free to leave your comments, to leave your feedback. I'd really love to hear from you. I'd also really love, if you're enjoying this, for you to share it with your friends, with your family, with people who you think would actually enjoy this particular type of content. So thank you very much. That is a little bit of housekeeping. Just to mention a little bit of a divergence within this particular season. So my idea for season 1 of Life in Life was to talk about 6 particular topics. So these 6 topics are important to me because I feel like one of the biggest goals for me in life has been to accumulate wealth. And by wealth, I'm talking about a sense of well-being, as well as financial stability and all those other things. So there are 6 particular pillars that I feel have been very fundamental for me, and this comes from one of my quote-unquote mentors called Patrice Washington. So she has this podcast called Redefining Wealth, and she talks about these 6 pillars in depth. So I decided that if I'm going to start something that is going to educate people, that is going to empower people, and to empower you to be able to make better decisions in terms of the quality of decisions that you're making, as well as how it impacts the quality of your life, then a good starting point would be these 6 pillars. So the 6 pillars are: number 1, fitness; number 2, relationships; number 3, we talked about space; and then number 4, 5, 6 are money. Number 4 is work, number 5 is money, and number 6 is faith. However, my initial idea of covering all these topics during season 1 has a little bit been diverged from. So what I decided to do, and this was from consultation with some of my friends who've been watching this YouTube channel, is that I should specify at least like 3 topics that I can start with. I can cover them twice or thrice before the end of the season, and then when I move to season 2, I can talk about 3 other topics in depth. Because if there's one thing that is coming out of this particular episode, is that there's a lot of depth going into this particular topic. So for this particular season, I'm going to be covering 3 main topics, and that is: number 1, fitness; number 2, relationships; and number 3, space. So today, during episode 5, or within episode 5, we're going to cover a recap of fitness, and we're going to tackle fitness from a different angle from what we began with, right? Okay, so today we're going to talk about fitness, and cue in the episode. Welcome to episode 5, where we're talking about the idea of sacrifice. And don't shy away from hearing the topic, because it's in line with fitness, and I'd love to talk about fitness from a sacrifice point of view. And I'm thrilled to introduce to you the idea of sacrifice. Okay, so without further ado, let's kick it. The idea of sacrifice. So when I think about sacrifice, one of the things that comes to mind is the biblical story of Abraham and Isaac, right? So I would like for us to just move back, and I understand that not all of us who are watching this particular YouTube channel are Christians, and this is not like by their faith-based YouTube channel. Let me just put that out there. I just love going back through some certain biblical stories because I feel like this particular book has been really fundamental in our culture and how we approach life. And well, for me, the Bible is an amalgamation of books. It's like a library of books. And what are these books about? I think what I have understood is that throughout human existence, there's been a need to document what works for us and what doesn't work for us for the sake of the future generations. And the Bible has been a library of different books written over a vast period of time by different people from different communities, and has been put together in sort of like a constitution of like the best practices of existence, right? So that being said, I'm going to just take a segue and dive deep into the story of Abraham and Isaac. So the story of Abraham and Isaac is very interesting for me because then here is how it goes. So Abraham is this very okay, nice guy. He's in line with the higher power which is ruling his time, which is quote unquote God within the biblical perspective. And Abraham has had one deep need, one need within his existence. There's just one thing that if he got, you're by the way, you're akipewa, Mungu hatasumbuliwa tena. In fact, if Abraham was to get that one thing, just one thing, you know how you tell God that hii ukinipea sitakusumbua tena, me, we are good, we are sorted. Yeah, just sort me out here, and then yeah, we're buddies. I won't even be coming to you with requests and all that. Just be gratitude, just be thankfulness. Yeah, this one thing, this really one meaningful thing. If you can grant me that, I think my life will just be a-okay. Yeah, so for Abraham, this was a son. Yeah, so Abraham was just like, man, I want a kiddo. I want a small person here, a small Abraham running around here giving me stress. This is what I want. And remember, during those olden times, people used to live for like a long period of time, like over 100 years, 200 years, 300 years. So this guy has been living for quite an amount of time, and he's like, well, this thing of getting a son, hey, kidogo, it's difficult. It's proving to be tricky. I am coming to resign to the idea that maybe I'll never get a son. Maybe, hey, venye kuko, it's difficult. It's tricky. It's difficult. It's difficult. So me, I'm just going to live life. Whatever I get is okay. Me, I'm just fine. If I'd get a son, oh my God, that would be amazing. Oh my God, that would be amazing. Yeah, but it's pomek. It is what it is. So one thing leads to another, and kidogo God onekanias Abraham, and he's like, oh, so you guy, my guy, I'm going to give you a son. And you have no idea because, man, I know that you have already like given up on the idea, but wait, chill, pull a pause. Your son is coming. Ako kwa njia anakam. So later on, Abraham happens to get a son called Isaac. The way he gets about getting this son is just a story for another day. But eventually, Abraham gets a son, what he has always wanted, what he has always desired. The biggest desire for him was to get a son so that he can continue his lineage, which is sort of something that is fundamentally ingrained in most human beings. I don't want to say men, but most human beings. You want to further your lineage. You want to see people coming out of you being their ancestor. You want continuity to life after you. So for Abraham, this was Isaac, and oh God, I can imagine the amount of joy and energy that this guy got. Just like, mjuku hujapa. You've gotten the son, the thing that you always wanted for. So just to like segue again a little bit, I'm trying to think about this from my perspective and my point of view. So for the longest time, I have been a romantic. Oh my God, this is another episode on romance. Please stay tuned. Next episode, we are talking about romance. Anyway, so I think I tend to think about the idea of romance, and I love the idea of love. I love it. I love it. But for some reason, it has proven difficult getting someone who I feel is worthy to love and to get love from, right? So for the longest time, I've always been like, oh God, just I want to see this person. Si unitumie huyu mtu kwani fare ni how much nitalipa, you know? Just tell me this person, man. God, I know you know the future, so please you just figure out a way, maze. Utume mtu haraka bana. I'm getting tired. I'm getting depressed. I'm giving up, man, on this idea of this amazing romantic partner who we are going to share life with, and you're going to do romantic stuff with, and you're going to create beautiful memories and babies and grandbabies. You know, so for me, it has always been that deep, insatiable, that deep need to get a romantic partner. So I remember there's a time, I think even, was it high school, I guess, where I was so infatuated by the idea of a romantic partner and me not getting one, that I was just like, oh God, I'm just praying to you. Tonight when I go to sleep, you've seen the stress I've gone through today. Just show me the face of who I'll end up with. Like, that's the bare minimum. In my dream, hata naweza kosa kukumbuka. Like, just show me the face of who I'm going to end up with. Just that simple. Not too much pressure ati oh lazima nitumie what na hapana. You just show me within a dream the face of the person who will be my wife. So you can imagine the amount of like pressure that I've put on this, and the amount of like quote unquote satisfaction that I would get from finding this romantic partner, whether I'll get her at 25, at 30, at 35, at 40, at 50, wherever in my life I'll come across this romantic partner, man, it feels like it has been a lifelong dream to get this particular person. Now, there's an interesting twist that comes to this particular story. So once Abraham has gotten Isaac and the son is there, he's growing up, Abraham is so excited. It's like, good. This is good. I enjoy this. I love the fact that I finally have a son. Something I've been praying for so long for. Mungu amenionekania. Now we have a son, right? After some time, there comes a very interesting appeal from God, who granted Abraham this son. So God tells Abraham, you know what, I know you really wanted a son, and I know that I was able to come through and to give you a son. But now, I think that I would want you to sacrifice this son for me. You know, just to show how much you love me, just to show how much you're committed to the cause. I'd love for you to be able to give up this son that I've been able to give you. Just give it back. Just give it back. Give back that blessing. Give back that gift. So go to this place, sacrifice your son, and with that, it will show me how committed you are to this love of a higher being, to your love of God, for example. I think that's the idea. So if you're able to sacrifice this thing that is most meaningful to you, then I will grant you blessings beyond what you can imagine. I will grant you the idea and identity of being the father of nations. I am going to give you more children than the grains of sand. And Abraham is just there like, na school fees. Anyway, no. So Abraham is like, okay, yeah, you know what? You're the one who gave me this son. And as painful as it is to leave this particular gift behind, I'm going to consider the idea of sacrificing this son for a better future, right? So that in itself is it's a very interesting concept just to sit down and to think about, because first of all, the whole idea of this person wants something, and then there's an idea of a higher power. We're going to discuss that in a short while. But what comes again is another twist. So now I've given you this gift. That is the first part of the story. I'm asking you to sacrifice this gift, to give it up for something better in the future, right? So now you have this son that you're seeing right here. I want you to give up this son who's here physically for the idea of so many other sons who are not here, who don't even exist. You know, it's just an idea. It's a thought, right? So it's a promise. I'm going to give you so many other sons if you sacrifice this one. And then Abraham is like, wow, this is going to be a difficult decision, but end of story, I'm going to make this decision. I'm going to sacrifice Isaac. Sorry, kiddo. It's gotta be what it's gotta be, and let's do this. So he takes Isaac to this place and he's like, you know what? Nilikwambia tulikuwa tumekuja sacrifice. Nilikwambia sacrifice venyewe inafanywa. Na dad, by the way, where's the goat that you're going, or the sheep that you're going to use to sacrifice to God? And Abraham is just there like, my friend, you are the sheep. Sorry, this is not meant to be funny. So he's just there like, yeah, so kiddo, I hope you told mom goodbye because you're the sheep today. You're the sheep. So as Abraham is going towards that action of taking away Isaac's life to sacrifice him towards this higher being called God, God appears through an angel and is like, wait, chill. Cooler pause. I think you have passed this test. So yeah, there is the sheep. I've provided sheep. So don't kill Isaac. Chill. Relax. I'm just kidding. I've provided sheep for you, but at least you've passed the test. So there are key things that I want us to pick from this particular story that are going to be now the foundation of this particular episode. The first thing I want us to notice is this idea of a higher being. So throughout life, we have always had this feeling or thought or idea at the back of our heads that there's a higher being, something bigger than us, something that sort of has a certain level of control to how the universe works and how it operates, right? And not only that, but we think and feel that this being has to carry some sense of fairness to it, right? So there's that bit of there's something or someone you're negotiating with. And this something or someone tends to be fair, such that if he or she or the higher being gives a particular promise, that promise is going to be carried out. If this particular being does not give out this particular promise, then that is an unfair setting, and most likely that will not happen. We believe that this being is going to be fair. So if this being said that if you sacrifice A, we're going to get B, most likely if you sacrifice A, we're going to get B. So first of all, the idea of a being that we can negotiate with is first of all such a deep and that is one of the most revolutionary ideas I think we have been able to come up with as human beings. The idea that there's something we can negotiate with, whether you call that God, whether you call that reality, whether you call that the universe, whether you call that a higher being, Allah, whatever, you just feel that there's a higher being and I can negotiate with this being for something in the future. And how I go about that particular negotiation process is by sacrificing something, and not just anything, something that is really meaningful to me, something that hurts me to give out, So think about, I think, how most of us, I would say, go about the process of giving out things. So to some extent, we tend in today's age to give out things that we feel, this no longer serves me, this no longer excites me, this I no longer use. It's just like, so I bought a new pair of shoes, I don't really need this other pair, so I'm going to give this out to someone who's needy or someone who needs it, right? So it's not that I have bought this new pair of shoes and I'd really love to wear them, but I know there's someone who would need them more. So let me give away this new pair of shoes, right? Because that would hurt you. That would actually be a sacrifice, right? But for a given period of time, and I think that's what we were meant to get from this story of Abraham and Isaac, that there's this idea, and this is one of the most revolutionary ideas, and I think it's very understated in our lives today. The idea of sacrifice, the idea that I can give up something today for something better in the future. And there's an experiment that has been done. So just to segue a little bit again, oh my god, today I'm just going to be giving you plot twist after plot twist. So for me, the idea of, okay, so I've been looking for a romantic partner for the longest time, and you know what, I'm at a point where I'm just like, yeah, so I've tried this, I've tried manifestation. I am at a point where I'm just like, you know what, ikikuja ikuja, isipokuja, it's fine, we live, we go, we move, you know. And then I tend to think that now God provides me with this particular partner, or through some divine intervention we come across each other and we tend to gel, we tend to be compatible, we tend to be intentional about the relationship, and we move it forward. And then senye tu imeshika, senye we are at the gist of it, God is like, yeah, so I would need you to sacrifice that relationship that you have for me, and don't worry, I'm going to give you more abundance in the future. And man, I honestly don't know whether I'd be able to make that sacrifice. Anyway, now back to our experiment. So there's an experiment called the marshmallow experiment. It's a very interesting experiment. It's done with kids, and it was conducted by some psychoanalyst or social psychologists? Yes, I think one of the two. So these guys decided to take kids, right? So you take kids about 6-7 years, and then you put them in a room, and then you get something really enticing like a marshmallow or like candy. And what you do is, so you put kids, everyone has a desk or a table, and then you take a marshmallow and you go place it on that table, and you tell this kid, look, there's a marshmallow here. It's sweet, it's tasty, I know you want to eat it. But you have two choices. You can eat this marshmallow now, and if you eat it now, it's gone, it's dead, kaput, it's done, okay? Or you can wait for 10 minutes. If you can manage to wait for 10 minutes without eating this marshmallow, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to give you another marshmallow. So in 10 minutes, if I come and find that this marshmallow is still here, then I'm going to come back and give you the second marshmallow. Right? It's not there. You can't see it until that 10 minutes elapses, and then I bring that other marshmallow. So you can imagine how that went. So there are kids who are off the bat. You just put it there, just like, they've taken it, they've eaten it, it's down, it's gone, bye, goodbye. So within the first minute, obviously, there are those who had already eaten the marshmallow. As time went by, there are those who decided to stick to the idea of like 2 marshmallows. So they would try to keep themselves busy, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to think about it, and to actually observe that particular experiment, because you would see kids doing the the utmost, the most, just to distract themselves from this delicacy that has been put in front of them, right? So you'd find them maybe playing around, you'd find them trying to sit on their hands, you'd find them trying to hold their heads, they're just trying to keep themselves distracted so that 10 minutes can elapse, and marshmallow number 2 can walk in and can surprise us and can come onto our table, right? So there are kids who are able so there are kids who ate that marshmallow off the bat. There was no waiting, there was no delayed gratification, apana. It was just like, yeah, it's here, I'm taking it, I'm eating it, goodbye, right? And then there are those who are able to wait, but they couldn't wait till 10 minutes. So they just like nibbled kidogo, or they ate half of it, or by the 8th minute, they're just like, yeah, so yeah, to hell with this. They ate the marshmallow. And then there are those who are able to wait up to 10 minutes. And when they waited up to the 10th minute, they were given another marshmallow, right? And the most interesting feedback I think I got from this particular experiment, or what shone through this particular experiment, is those kids who are able to wait the longest period, those 10 minutes until they got the other marshmallow, those kids who are able to practice what we call in today's terms delayed gratification, were actually more likely to be successful in life, and actually ended up being more successful in life because of that idea of delayed gratification and being able to practice it. So that in itself, first of all, is it's a funny experiment, to say the least, but also it's quite interesting because now think about it. Now, these are kids. These are basically kids, not even adults who understand the whole idea of delayed gratification and all that, but these are kids. And I want to pull you towards the idea of how strong an idea or an imagination you have to have, even as a kid, for you to see one thing here. And you're being told, okay, so this one thing here, sacrifice this one thing for a given period of time. And now, after a given period of time, they're going to become two things. You get? Like, it's such an interesting concept because now you're sacrificing what you can see now and here for more things that you can't see, more things that are not here, more things that are within your imagination. So when you're telling that kid that I'm going to give you another marshmallow after 10 minutes, that second marshmallow is not there. They're not seeing it. It's within their imagination. So then this brings a concept that your imagination can be as strong as the reality that you're seeing. The imagination of those two marshmallows was as strong as the subject that is right there in reality, the one marshmallow. So they're comparing the idea of two marshmallows to the reality of one marshmallow, and the idea of two marshmallows is actually more satisfying than this one marshmallow that is physically present in this reality here and now. So that in itself is such a fundamental step within the evolution of thinking, I would say. The idea that you can be able to imagine a future that is better than the reality that we are seeing right here and now is such... And this is such a phenomenal concept, even to say the least, because think about it. I don't think animals are able to think about the future in that way and to save for the future in that way. I don't think animals are able to come up with an imagination that is able to say that I think two birds in the bush are better than one at hand. You know, that whole idea of there can be something in the future, in my imagination I can see it, and that thing is better than the reality that I have here and now. And I'm going to sacrifice this reality that is here and now for the sake of that better future that is in my mind, that is an imagination, that is just an idea in my head. So that is what I wanted us to pull from this idea of, number one, the marshmallow test, that we can be able to conceptualize an idea in the future of something that we want or something that we desire that is greater than the reality that we have here and now. And number two, through the Abraham and Isaac story, there's this idea that we can negotiate with a higher being or a certain body that is to some extent fair, and we can give our reality, we can sacrifice what we have right now, we can sacrifice this reality for a bigger, huger, more robust reality in the future. So I tend to think that this has played itself out so many times in our past, in our history as human beings. And just in case you think that our history is very small, our history is large. So as human beings, we have evolved through time for 3.5 billion years. And if you think about something as fundamental as the art of cooking using fire, we learned how to use fire, is it 2-3 million years ago? And that was even before we started thinking. We discovered fire before we started thinking intentionally. So you can now see how short a period of time, 3.5 billion years we've existed, we've evolved, we've seen life, we've lived on trees, we've lived on the ground, we've lived in caves, we've lived in the water, and now we are here, we are human beings, we are not like the chimps, we are able to think, and not only think of what we see within reality, we're able to conceptualize ideas of the future and to sacrifice the reality that we have for an idea of a more robust future. That in itself is it's mind-blowing, to say the least. It's mind-blowing how we are able to come up with this idea of sacrifice. And just in case you think that, oh, sacrifice is such a basic thing, all animals should be able to do that, I'll tell you a very interesting way to catch a monkey. So if you want to catch a monkey, if you want to trap a monkey, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to look for like a container that the mouth of that container has the same width or radius or size with the hand or the palm or the wrist of the monkey. So you get like a calabash or like a jerry can which has a big base, and then now the mouth is a bit slim, just fits that wrist that the monkey would, the monkey's wrist, the size fits the monkey's wrist. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take that particular container, put some stones in it, so at least halfway through, so that it's heavy enough that the monkey can't lift it and run away with it. And then you use candy. You put some candy inside the jerry can or the container, and you put some candy outside that container. So this candy that's outside the container will attract the monkey to that container. And then the candy that is inside the container is now the real trap. So when the monkey puts the hand in and grabs the candy, it cannot be able to pull out the hand with the candy in fist, right? So you're going to grab it like this, it's going to be like a fist. So now when it's trying to pull the hand out of the container, now the fist is too big to fit through the opening. So you can very easily walk up there and grab the monkey. Whereas you would think that that's so stupid, the monkey can just leave the candy, pull out its hand and run away, right? Unfortunately, the monkey is not smart enough to do that. So the monkey is not able to sacrifice part of the winnings right now for its whole freedom. It's not able to do that. And that is hinged on the idea of sacrifice. That I see food here, I know I want this food, but I'm going to leave this food because I need my freedom. I need to be able to find food tomorrow. I need not to be eaten today, right? So that shows you how then as human beings our thought process is so advanced. And I think sacrifice is one of the biggest discoveries of human existence, and we see it playing through today through so many things. Why do we go to school? So that we can be able to get a certain level of intelligence or a certain way to handle certain things in life. If it's work, we are able to work diligently, right? So we go to school so that we learn how to work. We go to work so that we earn an income. We earn an income so that we can be able to sustain the lives that we want to live before we die. And that's another thing that is also drawn from the idea of Adam and Eve, where we got our consciousness about, oh, shit, we're going to die. Pardon the French. Oh my, we're going to die in the future. So we need to do the most right now so that in the future we either leave something for our kids, or by the time we are leaving this earth, at least we're living a good quality of life. So what do we need to do right now? We need to sacrifice A, B, C, D for the future. This is such a revolutionary idea, and we have seen it play through so many stories within the Bible that people are sacrificing from the Old Testament, the New Testament. You're sacrificing something that is of value to you for the idea of a better future. And I think that this idea traverses even the Bible. I'm so sure that there are so many families and communities that starved a part of their community just so that they can be able to retain certain seeds or food through a drought period, so that they can be able to replant these particular seeds during the rainy season and they can get more food for their next generation. I'm so sure that there was in the span of history, there was a period of time when a certain family was there just like, yeah, I know we have maize in the granary, but we are also hungry and we are not going to eat that maize. You know why? Because we need those maize seeds for the next planting season. So as much as we are hungry right now, we're going to sacrifice that instant gratification of we're going to eat and feel full right now, for we're going to sacrifice and feel hungry now. Even if we have food, we're going to sacrifice and that food, and we're going to go hungry right now for a given period of time, and then during the planting season we're going to take those seeds, we're going to plant them and get more food for us and for the next planting season. this whole idea of sacrifice is so fundamental. With sacrifice, for example, our parents have sacrificed so much for us to be able to go to school and for us to be able to have a better future. That is intergenerational sacrifice. It's one of the highest levels of sacrifice, right? If you think about it, you're going to work every single day so that you can earn an income to sustain the type of life that you want. You don't have that life right now. You don't have that money right now. You're doing something, you're sacrificing your time, your energy, your skills, your resources, your expertise, your knowledge, your wisdom, your gifts. You're sacrificing them now so that you can be able to get something better in the future. And that is, I think we take that so lightly today, the idea of sacrifice. And so with that, now let's see how we can be able to pull sacrifice into the idea of fitness.